Good morning, everybody. Well, it's morning here still anyway. How's everybody doing? Today's subject, this is Friday 10/11/18, and I'm doing a little bit of, well, the kids are home from school today. They have the day off, so I'm kind of, I thought I'd come out and make a video this morning before I kind of start getting into the day and getting things done that I should be doing at this moment, which is somewhat, I guess, what I'm here to talk about. It's a recurring theme in my own life is self-criticism, and I think that everyone shares that, but it's very difficult for some people to talk about. Now, when people put themselves down, for example, they can take it too far, you know. Telling yourself that you're worthless, playing the victim, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that, you know, at the end of the day, when we take inventory of what we've done, and we say, I wanted to get that done, but I didn't, or I could have done this, you know, that's natural. That's kind of, at least for most people, that inventory is kind of like the same inventory you take at the end of your life. And for a lot of folks who understand that metaphor, the nature of how each day is like a lifetime, where, you know, every morning is a new opportunity, and you go throughout the day, and eventually, you know, you've lost more of the day than you can recover, and you know, it ends, and that's how your life is. And when we acknowledge that and we are empowered by that, it helps us realize that what society sets for us as standards to what we're supposed to be doing is complete BS. But at the same time, there's a little bit of truth to it, because people, as a collective, have agreed that there are certain things that we deem to be valuable to us. Generally. Things like the freedom for an individual to do what they choose, so long as it harms no other, or the idea that people should be able to speak freely, people should be able to be fed, even though we know realistically it's not always easy to keep, you know, to take care of each other. It is something that most of us share, and I think that within the framework we've created in society, we've set these standards where we start to question what we've done with our own lives at a certain point. When you're 20, you know, you still have a whole lifetime ahead of you. You know, when you're 30, you think, okay, well, you know, I've still got plenty of time. For me, I'm 40, and it gets to the point where you're like, okay, well, I better get started doing something, you know. And all the while, sometimes we don't stop to really ask ourselves, what is it that we're after? Because ultimately, the goal in life, or the key to living a happy, fulfilling life, is to ask yourself what you really want. And that's more difficult than we realize. For me, I can't see something as simple as happiness. But happiness also includes those around us. So in other words, if my family is not doing well, even if I'm happy, and my family hates me, then it wouldn't work, because I wouldn't be doing well. So part of my self-criticism, let's say, even though I'm doing well, let's say, in many realms of research, and I have these dreams of working towards a future project that I can accomplish that'll be something great, I still don't even know what that'll be. And this voice in the back of my mind is always saying, oh, no, you've just got to take whatever comes your way and buckle down and you know, and work. And then I ask myself, well, why? What am I working towards? Is it the money that I'm after, or is it some sort of a satisfaction from within? Money is always an issue. I mean, when my business isn't doing well in any aspect, whatever business I may be doing at the time, it sucks. But I've learned to just kind of say, well, that's the way it is. You know, what's the next thing? And I know in my head that a lot of different ways that I could make, let's say, for example, illegitimate money. And I don't want to do that. And I don't mean like just illegal, but in ways that would harm others or cause them to spend money and resources on things that don't do anything, like so many snake oil salesmen have through history. So when you're trapped with a certain amount of societal values that you believe, that I believe, let's say, in other words, being honest and truthful and fair, you know, one day you question yourself and say, well, what about the liars that are getting ahead? And what about the people who aren't honest, who are still doing well? And you convince yourself that, well, they're paying their dues through either karma or their own guilt. But often, you know, that's not true. the world isn't set up to punish each person who does things wrong in other people's eyes. So what we deem to be dishonest in one culture or society might be honest in another. But the point being that when you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing, we look back to what society tells us. So if, for example, if I was working, take the average Joe who works a 60-hour week job. You hear a lot of people talk about that. They brag about it. They say they hate it, but they're like, oh, I worked a long week. Because saying you worked a long week is a way of saying I'm putting in my best effort as a human, and that's understandable. The question is, if a person's working a 60-hour week, and then there's another person who's working a 10-hour week, who's making twice as much money, who's going to be more successful in the eyes of themselves, I guess? And it's surprising to find that, even at the times when I've made, good money in a short period of time, if it's not if it's not equal to the work put out, it doesn't seem right or honest or fair, even if it is. And so I think that that's something that also we've been kind of programmed to believe that. But what does it really come down to in life? What makes us happy, and what is success? To me, success is measured in not how many friends we have, but how many connections we've made and how many experiences we've had. It doesn't mean we have to have a family. Each person is going to have a very subjective idea of what the hell life is about. And for some people, life is shit, complete shit. I hear people talk about how much life sucks and how people are a scourge. And I hear others talk about, how amazing humans are. And somewhere in the middle is the truth. Our viewpoint of what people are. It's very dependent on our environment and circumstance as to how we view others. So, as a collective, we find it's a lot better if we interact with other people. So if you're a positive-minded person and you say, well, I'm doing my best and I'm trying, you're still going to, if you're honest, if you're fair with yourself, then you don't let your ego and arrogance override reason, then you will always push yourself harder. So what I'm saying is, it's that very voice in our heads that say you can do better or this isn't good enough. It's not saying that you're worthless or that you haven't done what you should be doing. It's saying you could do more, and you want to do more because psychologically in the back of your mind you want to push yourself to whatever it might be. And I'm not talking about physical work or hourly work. And in fact, I think that's one of the hardest things to overcome, is the idea that working more hours is somehow better, when the idea is to work less hours and make more money. At the very least, just work less hours to spend time with your family, if you have a family, or to get a few other things done. Maybe start a side project. And I'm just talking shit in a lot of ways, because I have many projects I've started and never finished. And I try to inspire other people to start and finish their projects, because I know that it's possible. And the only thing that helps me is when other people inspire me and they push me, to say, hey, you could do this, or this is great. It's having a little bit of pride in what you're doing, but also having the faith that it'll turn out all right. Because, for example, I might seem, what's the word? I mean, to some I might seem very self-assured, let's say, which anybody who knows me or watches my channel regularly knows that's not true. It's, I'm self-assured about how I interact in life. That's what's important. So what I mean is, I'm not self-assured about all the decisions I made, or the things that I'm doing right or wrong as far as like for my future or financially. I'm still just as unsure and confused and wow, take along for the ride like everyone else. But I am self-assured in knowing that I am me and I'm trying, Am I doing my best? That's subjective too. I don't know. But I'm trying. In the circumstances and the cards that I was dealt, I'm trying to be the best human I can. And sometimes I can be a jerk, but most of the time I try to be a nice person, unless people are pushing my buttons and purposefully trying to troll me to get a reaction or something. It's just because I've dealt with so many people like that, I really don't have the time for it. I have a very, low threshold, but patience is a strong virtue to be able to have. Let me just say on that note, regardless of the interactions we have and what other people tell us we should and shouldn't be doing, what's important isn't avoiding hearing that or shutting people out that tell us to change or, that we could do this or should do that. Because a lot of us have family that are pushy and try to tell, you how do you live your life. A lot of parents are trying to force their kids to go to a college that they're not interested in, or into a sports when they don't want to play, that kind of stuff. But the one thing is to remember, it's not about, the world's always going to push us to do things and tell us what a real accomplishment is. The key is how we react to them, not to avoid it. How we react to everything, that is mental alchemy. Mental alchemy is the true alchemy, if you will. All my studies in any type of mysticism or occult knowledge always came back to that same simple idea. You are what you think. And so when I wake up, I do my best each day. Sometimes I have a thought where, oh, fuck, I should be doing better, and I just say, hey, then do better. Don't complain about it. And so hopefully future generations will start to understand that we're not quite sure what real work is as humans, what our job is here. Just look at primates, of course we're not primates, but we are primates, and in the sense that, how do their communities, what do they do? Do they chill? They're not always, apes don't go to work, 8 hours a day. They meander around and grab some food and chill and explore and interact and have society, not comparing humans to apes here, but the point is that nature is pretty relaxed compared to humans. Let's put it that way. The hustle and bustle of the modern day, it's non-compatible with nature and the natural pattern. So observe natural patterns and reflect them onto your life. See the ebb and the flow of your tides and your emotions, and just let it go. Ride with it and have faith, because faith is important. And it's not faith in some guy in the sky. It's faith in yourself and faith in people around you. The power to make change and to say, no matter how bad things get, you can always pull your head out of your ass and do better. And no matter how great things get, it's always going to fall back by the wayside eventually, because that is balance. So take care, everybody. I'll talk to y'all later. And as always, comments are welcome. Thank you to my Patreon patrons, and thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to the comments and the awesome discussions that we have there. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.